them using the hashtag #SaturdayKitchen. Theo, right, I'm out of breath. You do some cooking. Jane, you go and put your feet up, have a coffee.
Have a cup of tea.
So this is a duck ragu.
So duck ragu. So we've got a duck breast. So we're going to render the duck fat, give it lots of flavour because fat is flavour. We're going to do a little sofrito of some celery and some onion with some thyme. And then I'm going to add some chestnuts. These are just vac-packed chestnuts.
Okay.
And just fry in olive oil. Then we're going to do a little sort of topping.
And I need to tell people at home, you need to watch this carefully because this is possibly the nicest thing I've eaten this year.
Did you say
make sure you take this in.
chestnuts?
Vac-pack.
Oh, vac chestnuts.
Okay. They're just easy. I mean, fresh chestnuts are the best.
But you have to assemble them yourself.
This really is a fantastic dish, and it's pretty simple.
It's really simple, and you know you can use duck leg. I mean, duck leg's probably got more flavour than duck breast, but the nice thing about duck breast is quite easy, and it's very easy to get hold of. But essentially, what we're going to do is we're just going to take the fat off here. Is
it the sort of thing? I mean, you know, once you finish with a duck, you've got the meat on the carcass. Obviously, there's not going to be that much, but it's the sort of thing you could strip.
Well, this is a kind of northern Italian dish, and what they traditionally do, they'd use the whole duck and they'd slow cook it for a long time.
Right.
And you'd get this amazing juice, and you know, you'd get you'd use the wine in there, which gives it this amazing flavour. So basically, I'm just going to chop this up. It's one of those sort of dishes. It's a slow cook. It's going to take about an hour. If you're using duck legs, it'll probably take about an hour and a half to 2 hours. But it's one of those things you just put in the back of the stove and just let it sort of cook away. And
even though you're using the breast, which is obviously very lean, it's not going to go dry?
No, it's not, because the thing is, I'm going to add quite a lot of liquid, so we're going to put lots of wine in here. We've got some port and we've got some red wine. And the port and the red wine cook the duck, so it becomes really sort of tender.
Okay.
But the point is that this sauce is then bashed up with a whisk at the end, so you get this emulsified sauce.
Right.
Because the chestnuts have got quite a lot of starch in there, so they give this really lovely sort of sweet flavour, and combined with the sort of slightly gamey duck, it works well.
So, Hells, this wine is particular to this dish. What's it bringing, this Valpolicella?
Yeah, so it's a really lovely northern Italian red, and I would describe it as a kind of lighter, juicier style of red. So an equivalent would be Beaujolais, for example. And they are brilliant food wines, unsurprisingly. Right. And they do often go with the dishes that come from that region. So it makes perfect sense to use this wine in this dish.
OK.
Right, thank you. There you go. I feel like it's been authenticated. So celery and onion. Yeah. And then that's just the base of any kind of good sort of meat sauce.
And no carrot?
I'm not a fan of carrot. I mean, I love carrot, but I think carrot you always sort of see bits of carrot and things. And I hate that, like kind of with a nice pasta sauce and chunks of carrot. So not a fan of that. So we're just going to get rid of this fat. The fat's kind of done its job now.
So you're just rendering it?
I'm just rendering that fat, but it's very important you do that because, you know, that's where lots of the flavour comes from. Whoops. You go in there. And then we're going to... We've seasoned it, and we're just going to pop that into the pan.
Richard, although you say you've got very conservative taste, when you go out and eat, or when people cook for you, are you surprised by... Actually, I like that.
Yeah, I like... There's lots of spices. I love it, you know, a good local Indian or a good local Italian. Funnily enough, my daughter lived in China for a few years, and every time I went over there, you'd have the most amazing duck cooked, and they really do use the whole duck. I'll give them that. Yeah. You know, you eat all evening, and it's like... You know, I once took all of her friends out. There's like 14 of them. I said, look, I'll get this. I want to be... It's like a lovely sort of father thing to do. Yeah. We ate all night, like 3 hours, wine, everything. I went at the end of the evening, £42 with a lot of it. Yeah. In Nanjing.
They do duck very
my goodness. Well, I mean, it's just incredible. I'm sure this will be better, Theo, but...
let's hope so.
They're quite good. They're quite good.
OK, so got a bit of fresh thyme to go in there as well. You could use rosemary, but thyme's got a sort of slightly sweeter flavour, so that goes in there. And then just want to get a little bit of colour on the duck. Can you smell that duck? It's really kind of pungent. And then to go with it, we're going to do a sort of chestnut and pancetta kind of sort of crust, which will give a really nice sort of texture and flavour.
You've got some nice-looking pancetta there. Is there anything in particular you have to look for when you're buying pancetta?
For this sort of thing, I'll make sure it's really thinly sliced, because you want to cut it quite thin. And, you know, if this one... It's got a slight smokiness to it, which is quite nice. It gives it an extra flavour. But the thing about cooking with pancetta is don't put any oil in the pan. Just let the put them in a dry pan, so you get all that flavour of the pancetta, all the
Right.
fat melts, and it really makes it taste much nicer.
Now, the restaurant's sadly shut still at the moment because you're part of a hotel.
Yeah.
So what's been keeping you busy?
So, well, I've got the new book's coming out, the Italian Deli Cookbook, which has been published on March 18th. You can pre-order it. And that's very exciting.
And that's a celebration of Italian deli.
It's about Italian deli. So, you know, you can buy all these ingredients from supermarkets easily. You know, you can go and buy a packet of prosciutto, some Parmesan cheese. But when you go to an Italian deli, you get that kind of knowledge, which is so important. And people, you know, they tell you about where something comes from. They might have ingredients that you don't necessarily always get anywhere else.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's nothing nicer than just putting some port in. Nothing nicer than, you know, having that sort of prosciutto sliced, put on some lovely wax paper, a piece of cheese cut, you know, from the Parmesan.
Yeah.
And I think we should really support Italian delis because they've been around for so long and supported us for so many years. You know, we should support them. And I think you know, the book is all about those wonderful ingredients. There's in lots of different parts of the recipes where there's, you know, there's things on, you know, like Italian sausages and cheeses and all the things you sort of want, you know, wouldn't know what to do with them. And I always find that people go on holiday and they buy these ingredients like dried porcini mushrooms or buy some special olive oil.
And they sit
and they don't really know what
decorate
to, they just sit in the cupboard and they don't do anything with them. So that book is sort of kind of that. It's a little bit back to front. You know, there might be one recipe which is, you know, talking about olives or a particular type of olives, like a Tadjaska olive.
Right.
And there might be 4 different recipes on that particular product. So it's about, you know, all those wonderful things that you kind of don't always know what to do with.
Yeah, OK. And did you learn a lot when you were doing the research?
Huge amount.
Right.
I mean, huge amount. You know, the pronunciation of names and where things come from and, you know, where you can actually buy these ingredients. And some of the ingredients are kind of, you can't actually buy them anywhere else than an Italian deli. I mean, I went to one brilliant delicatessen in Soho. And, you know, my favourite pasta is pacchieri, which is like a big rigatoni. Yeah. And they had like 5 different varieties. They had drawers of pasta, and they kind of, you know, which pasta do you want? Yeah, it was like going to a tailor. Yeah. It was brilliant.
Pasta tailor.
So I'm just going to catch up. So basically, it's celery and onion.
Yes.
And then we put the duck in there. We've got the port, we've got the red wine, and then I'm going to add water. Now, you could use chicken stock, but the flavour from the duck is so strong, you don't need chicken stock. Put the lid on and leave that on low heat for about an hour. Right. And it will really, really cook down. Now, let's get back to our pancetta. So pancetta's cooking.
And you're serving this with pappardelle?
We're doing this with pappardelle, so get the pan on. So the pappardelle...
Which I have to say you were rolling here at 6:30 this morning.
6:30? I was here at 6:05. Thank you very much.
Sorry, 6:05.
And I made that this morning. Look at, you know, within a few hours, it's gone sort of hot. That's what you want with pasta. It's to sort of dry it out, then it'll have a much nicer texture. OK, so boiling salted water. So make sure that goes up. So our pancetta's cooking nicely, and then we're going to add some of these chestnuts. And that's going to give a really nice sort of texture and flavour to that. So just pop those in they go.
And because this pasta is so fresh, it's not going to take any time at all to cook.
It'll take a couple of minutes. It won't take long at all. I mean, you obviously don't want to cook it too long because the pasta will become too soft. But in it goes.
So how do you tell if you've got the right type of pasta?
So there's a sort of saying that if you have a plate of pasta and you've got sauce in the bottom of your pasta bowl, then you've got the wrong pasta.
At the end of the...
Yeah, so basically the sauce needs to sort of stick to the pasta. So I'm using pappardelle here, which is, you know, very wide ribbon pasta. Yeah. And this sauce is just going to kind of sit on that on the pasta, and that's really what you want. So every mouthful tastes absolutely delicious. Okay.
Top tip, I like that.
Thanks very much. Okay, so we're just going to get the sauce. We're going to heat the sauce up. So that's been cooked for about an hour. Get a whisk and just bash it down so all those chestnuts become crushed. All the meat becomes crushed. And that's going to help emulsify the sauce because the chestnut has a lot of natural starch in it. So
I believe you did that when you cooked my now second favourite pasta dish, which was the beef shin.
Yeah.
And I think you broke that up with a...
The thing about things like ragus is you want big chunks of meat and you want to cook them for, you know, quite a long time. Yeah. And then by using a whisk, it's the best way to... It just breaks up, you get these little strands.
But you still get the texture.
But having big chunks of meat, you can get more colour on it and more flavour. So it's really, really good for that. So a bit of butter. OK. Is
that because it's Northern Italian, the butter?
No, just because it tastes good.
OK, fine. That's a good...
No, I just think...
So amazing hearing 2 top chefs talk. I mean, it's just,
really?
Just the insight.
I just think a little bit of butter in a sauce like this, I mean, you could use olive oil, but You know, I mean, particularly Emilia-Romagna, like Bologna, they use a lot of butter there, partly because Parmesan is made with skim milk, so they have a lot of cream, so they turn it into butter. But, you know, a little bit of butter with sauce like this just gives it that sort of lovely taste.
Just makes it a bit sort of silky, doesn't it?
So chestnuts cooking, pancetta, so just get those all nice and melting and fried. Turn the heat down. Let's get this pasta out in a second. So,
okay. And once again, always, I mean, we always say it, but you always add the pasta with some of the cooking liquor to the sauce.
Make sure it's nice and wet, yeah.
Rather than draining it in the sink.
Exactly. Don't drain it in the sink.
Which is what we all did growing up in the 70s.
Yeah. Well, the natural thing to do is to start cook the pasta, and you know, using if it's dried pasta, you do it right to the limit, sort of 10 minutes, and then you put it into the colander and drain it, and all the steam goes, and you go over the floor, and water goes on your feet, and then you've cooked the whole packet because you don't want to have too much any packets of pasta left in your cupboard. So you cook the whole packet, and you end up with a very overcooked pasta, and you've got so much pasta it sort of dilutes the sauce.
So while you serve that up, let me just touch on that. You gonna, when you reopen, you're gonna redo those delicious menus, those sort of Italian touring menus.
The regional menus, we're doing regional menus. We're going to start with Tuscany, and I mean, you know, that one's going to be. We can do lots of amazing wines. We've got some fantastic Super Tuscans to go with that. So basically, the whole thing is a 4-course meal, including
with Super Tuscan wine.
The wine with Super Tuscans, yeah.
I mean, that would be a good chance to try them, because if you opened a bottle of that, it would cost you a couple of £100.
Well, exactly. So it gives you a kind of taste of things that you don't have to always sort of spend so much money on buying the whole bottle. But you know, it's a nice thing to do, and it gives people a taste of something. And it's really nice for the chefs and the kitchen to do something that is regional. And we have lots of chefs from different parts of Italy, so they always get very excited when it's their region.
When it's there, and they're very proud of it.
Of course they are, and so they should be. OK, so give that a good toss. Just check the seasoning. It should be sort of quite kind of gamey and really juicy. Needs a bit more salt, a bit more black pepper, and just give that a last little bit. And then just use a spoon, because we don't want to break the pasta too much, so just lift that up.
And don't let it sit in the pan too long, right?
And make sure everyone's sitting at the table. I mean, the thing is, you know, that's the whole point of antipasties.
I mean, that's a job in itself, to be honest.
Well, I always find, you know, my kids are quite well behaved now, but, you know, when they're younger, they'd be like, oh, yeah, dinner's ready, you know, like they'd be making
actually,
pasta.
I need to nip to the loo, actually, if that's all right. I'll be 10 minutes.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, tops.
Or run a bath.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not mentioning any names, Lisa. Yeah, now's the time to run a bath. Brilliant.
OK, so then we've got our...
Do you do that, Hels?
No, never. I'm always at the table on time. There's food and wine.
So chestnuts and pancetta on top.
Wow.
So it's got like lots of nice flavours, but it's also got nice texture as well. I mean, it's all... Oh, whoops. Sorry about the stove. That'll need cleaning later.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
The TV producer in me gets so nervous when I see knives and flames and all that kind of stuff. Oh, man.
And so there's last bit of chestnuts on top. And the chestnuts have gone really quite crispy. And then just finish off with a nice shaving of Parmigiano Reggiano, fresh Parmesan, and a little bit of black pepper.
Well, it looks amazing, and I can tell you from now, it tastes amazing. Right, Theo, remind us what it's called.
So this is my fresh pappardelle with duck ragu, with red wine, chestnuts and pancetta.
Fantastic. Step back. Ace, right.
Wow.
Try that.
Look at that.
Because it really is.
Oh, my God, it looks amazing.
I said it before, it is one of the nicest things I've eaten for a very long time.
Oh, and booze as well.
Right, so Hels, while we tuck into this, what have we got?
So we have got a Valpolicella, obviously, but the trick is